taken by Benning. Darnell Nurse left it in the corner, gets up center. Perry scores! Corey Perry!
Ilya able to shake away from Solani. It's given away to Solani. Around in front. Score! Teemu Solani with the steal.
And the fans want one. Score! On the floor! On the board! Paul Kariya!
Go.
Hey everybody, it's another Forever Mighty podcast. Pat, Jason, and Eddie. And we don't know where Jason is apparently. If you guys are watching this on
I'm right next
Twitch,
to you, Pat.
he's changing locations at a rapid pace.
He's sitting in the same
So
building.
he discovered what Skype has for background.
I just found it adorable. Pat really wanted this as his background. It's just that.
Yeah, no, I just stuck with my new office, and Jason just apparently moved in. Truth be told, I got stuff going on behind me, so I blurted it out. And now Jason's making fun of me by using.
How do you know Jason
clever
isn't in
backgrounds,
Candyland with gummy bears?
Now he's
This
in
was
robot
good.
land.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick here. I think people believe I'm on a spaceship with robots.
100%.
Makes the most sense.
Absolutely makes the most sense. Well, now, boys, we have plenty to talk about with the Ducks. This is all the stuff we haven't got to in the last couple of weeks, but for the extra stuff, we have things prepared for Patreon this weekend. Just for you guys listening, for your Patreon members, looks like we're doing something on Sunday. That's tentative. We'll probably talking and solidify a time after this show for either Saturday or Sunday, but it's looking like Sunday. But guys, the season's going to start, and apparently a few teams are talking about playing outside, even here in California, which is very strange. Ducks, Kings, Bruins, and Penguins. What do you guys think about that? I'm very curious how they're going to accomplish this, if this is even something they're going to go forward with.
If any team can do it, you would feel like, I know the weather creates a problem, but you would think the California teams would be the teams who would be more likely to do it and still have fans outside. The Bruins and Penguins is a bit of an interesting one, depending on how cold it's going to be outside. And I think they were saying the Penguins were looking into Heinz Field and PNC Park, which are not friendly locations to watch hockey when you think of putting a hockey rink in a baseball diamond, or like we've seen in the past in a football stadium. Unless you're sitting high up, it's not very friendly for that. And for the Kings and Ducks, they were going to play at Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, which is apparently where the LA Galaxy play. It seats 27,000. I doubt if they're forced to play outdoors that they're going to be able to get anywhere near full capacity. But I've never been to that arena. I'm sure one of our listeners, I'm sure Jimmy's been there for some soccer games before. I wonder what it would be like. I wonder what the venue actually looks like in terms of, being able to put hockey on there.
It's much more friendly, I think, than a giant stadium. And you speak of the weather. My God, the storm right now going through the East Coast is just burying them. They said it was like 2 or 3 inches of snow an hour, which is nothing we have to worry about here in California, especially where the teams play. So, yeah, very curious about how they're going to be doing that. I'm leaning that this is probably not going to work out in general, especially for the East Coast teams, I don't imagine.
I would even say it's even hard for the teams out here, mostly because just trying to maintain ice and keep it cool. I mean, hey, if the weather kind of drops here, it's still dropping to like maybe 60, 65 usually. So in that instance, how are you going to maintain the ice? It's going to cost a lot of money to go ahead and do that. And even then, if you do it in California or anywhere in California, everything's so much on lockdown right now that you still can't have fans to outdoor things. So it doesn't even really make sense money-wise, or the fact that the only reason to have that is just to put fans in the stands, but you can't even do that right now. So it doesn't make a lot of sense on this side either.
Would you guys go?
Yes.
I would definitely try.
I wonder how many,
what's
COVID, the situation like there? Like for us here in Ontario, it was not as, it was kind of, cases were going down during the summer, and now we've gotten back to a point where we're at like record highs. Is that kind of the same thing there?
Yes. And it turns out, found this out, that all of Canada has the same population as California. Yes. Little known fact there. So, but yeah, no, ours is going through the roof. Pat will disagree. but everything's is pretty much going up. Hospitalizations, infections, deaths, all that's kind of going up. So everything's kind of clamped down, and it'll be this way probably, I don't know, for a couple months, and then vaccinations start to happen. Everyone stops gathering. We're probably good. We're good. I don't know. I'm just going to listen to Gavin Newsom and just close my eyes.
Well,
Okay.
we've got a planned
Just like Pat.
January 13th start date. That I mean, listen, we might as well get into this now because it is kind of on par. We're going to go into this later in the show, but the new start date for the NHL is January 13th. They're going to play 56 games. I would imagine if the plan for the Ducks and the Kings was to play outdoors, that it's not starting January 13th. It's probably something that happens either midway through the season or later on. There's no way they play every single home game at Dignity, whatever, Dignity, what is it, Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson. There's no way they play all their home games there. I could imagine. Like, there's no way they get something like that approved at this point, especially having, I mean, without fans, maybe. But if you're not going to have fans, there's no point in playing outdoors. You might as well just play at Honda Center.
No, but the main reason why they got the ability to even get this going in general is because, from what I've been told, is and this is not like secret news. I have a friend who goes to like a same club as some people that work for the Ducks, and what they've told him is that the NBA and the NHL have secured through the government vaccinations. They're all going to be vaccinated. They're not jumping ahead of any lines, but they're just going to be vaccinated. Apparently, this is part of the rollout or whatever is happening. What's strange, what I was told too about it, and if that's true, they said that the players' families aren't getting vaccinated. They're not. It's just only staff, only players. So, interestingly enough, that still doesn't help. Like Jay was saying, doesn't help any of the fans. California's under super strict lockdown right now. It feels like we're like a step away from like a stay-at-home order with the way that they're talking about cases. So there's no way that they're going to have fans in seats this year. I can't imagine that's going to happen. I mean, you can't even eat outside at a restaurant right now. So I think really the season even starting is kind of basically we're going to see hub cities again. I don't really see there's any other way to do it. They kind of just have to go about that. And to play 56 games starting on, I think even January 13th is kind of like that's a real like close date. They need to really have their stuff figured out before then. And I know the NHLPA and the NHL are trying to work out details. So it'll be really interesting to see how this happens.
At this point of the season, in a regular season, we're usually about 56 games in already. Come January 13th, you're more than halfway through the season. Obviously, a 56 game schedule from January 13th means that that kind of shortened season gets pushed back likely into May, potentially June. I don't know if they would need that much time. But it is going to be a longer season, and like you said, like there's no way, even if the players are vaccinated, whatever, that they're going to play outdoors if there's going to be no fans. Like I think what we have to kind of mention about this is these were plans, and it was more so they were looking into the idea of playing home games outside. 4 teams where some others were apparently considering the idea, so there's no concrete kind of announcement or formalized deal that the Ducks will be playing home games at where the LA Galaxy play. It's more so they were looking into the idea, probably only if they could have fans, and it's looking like they can't.
Yeah, it would make sense too to do it there. It's probably a better venue. I would imagine 27,000's plenty, but I don't know. Like Jay said earlier too, maintaining that ice is fine. January, February, maybe March. If it rains here, they're screwed. And when it starts getting hot in California, like it always does, sometimes in April, definitely in May, nah, they're gonna have to find a way not to have that happen.
And they're always going to have to try and maintain it. And I mean, it just trying to keep ice frozen. It takes so much energy to do, and if you don't have control over keeping that climate in a certain area, it just leads to just crap ice conditions and just players being pissy about it. It's a long shot. I mean, I'll applaud the ingenuity or the what do you call it, the idea box that they had, like, hey, let's just throw anything out there and see what works. I mean, they're trying really hard to figure out a way to make it work. This one is just, it's too tough to maintain over any sort of long period of time. One game, one big, stadium series. Yeah, sure, that's fine, that's easy. But try and keep doing it month in and out. It's not really feasible in my mind.
If any of these four teams, too, that they're talking about needs the revenue,
Yeah.
it's Anaheim. Like, that's a small market team. I mean, we definitely need to have something coming in here, especially with all the money that Sam Willie's been pouring out, too, in the community, plus facilities, players, all that stuff. And to not have home games is really killing the small market guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
They'll
we'll
survive.
see. If we talked about the new planned start date for January 13th, how realistic do you think that is that it gets off the ground? I mean, based off of the rumors, it seems like it's pretty concrete, and that they're going to aim for that, and really, barring any significant setbacks, that's going to be the start date. It's going to be a 56 game schedule, and they're going to go forward with it.
If they can ensure that the players are going to be safe, and like what Pat said is like if they're getting the vaccinations and they're going to be safe, the NHL will probably move forward with it. It won't be with fans. I think it's more going to be in the arenas until things kind of mellow out. So I didn't think they'd even do the playoffs last year, and they were able to make that actually a success. So I think that they wouldn't do anything they didn't think would be sustainable. But we're less than a month away from that date, so they better start coming up with some ideas and making sure teams can start their whole practice thing. Because I mean, what if they start saying now, and then it's like, what, you got to do 2 weeks of trying to do training camp, 2 weeks of, I don't know if they'll do preseason games, but
No,
maybe
probably
a
not.
week of that or something like that. I mean, they got to
Well,
get moving now if they're going to do it. And that's
They've already called players back that were on loan overseas for training camp, which hasn't, I guess, officially begun yet. So that's likely a good sign. And I think this is up to even 2 or 3 weeks ago that some of these players started returning from Europe because they have to quarantine for 2 weeks before they'd be able to take place in any training camp or anything like that. So I guess that's a good sign in some way that we could see a January 13th start date. The only thing is, like Pat, you mentioned earlier, that hub cities. I just can't see them doing hub cities for 56 games. I mean, the play.
They're going to have to. I mean, and realistically, this season's going to happen. I feel like no matter what, they want the TV money. That the league needs revenue. And these players, I'm sure a lot of them, and I'm not speaking from anything that we've heard from anybody, but like that rumor I heard about the vaccination, I believe it because some of these players are like, I don't want to go back and play. It's not safe. I don't want to get sick. I don't want to put anyone at risk. That kind of deal. Some players did say that, even talking about last season and going into the playoffs and all that. So I think that might have been part of, in my opinion, if I was those players, they're probably going to be asking for something like that. So if they do get vaccinated, the season does start. There's no other place they can play. They're not going to get people in seats. It's just not happening. Next season, sure. This season coming up, there's no way.
Yeah, it's also difficult to make all the teams go to every single home city, and everyone. You can't play like a regular season where you're going to go, all right, well, we hit LA, and then we hit Anaheim, we hit San Jose, and then we're going to be home for a couple, and then we're going to go down to Nashville, and then we're going to go over to St.
I don't think
Louis.
they're going to play cross conference at all till playoffs, and that's till the final. There's no
Well,
way.
I mean, I'm just saying, I just don't think you're going to have like, because for most of the divisions, I guess we'll talk about this in a little bit, being realigned. You still have to go. You either have to go to those cities, or you find a hub city or two that's got an NHL-sized rink, and then they just kind of meet and play there. And there's really not a home game or an away game. They're all just kind of there. I think that probably makes more sense. I mean, you couldn't do it in just two spots.
No, it's going to be multiple cities.
Multiple cities, like within each division. I think.
I laughed because I saw Vegas was up as one. I'm like, really? Vegas is going to be a hub city?
Anaheim was a pretty big contender on that list too, because of having two potential places to play, right?
We don't get anything, dude. What are you talking
We
about?
will not get this the way it's going over here. So
It'd be ironic though. The one time that we get any sort of league thing happening here is when nobody can go.
That's what we get.
Yeah.
I would think at the very least they would have to do at least one hub city per division. The only problem is, like, the reason I'm saying I don't think they can do hub cities the way they did during the playoffs is because there's no way the players are going to spend 4 or 5 months in one city. It would be almost that you would travel to these hub cities to play and then travel back, but that just seems like a logistical nightmare in terms of travel time.
Well, interestingly enough, like, how do you go home? You're vaccinated, potentially, if that's what's going to happen. You go home to your family. What if they're sick? It's going to be really interesting to see how the league kind of puts this together. That's a great point. To put it together for 2 months for the playoffs is one thing, but for 5 or 6 months is going to be crazy.
That's when they locked it down in Canada, where there really wasn't that many cases at that time, and you just locked it into 2 hub cities. But now you got 4 different divisions. All of Canada might just be its own thing. But yeah, I would still say it's a logistical nightmare to try and travel across. Like if you think of Canada's division, they try and have Vancouver. Oh, we play Montreal today. We got to go play Calgary, and we're back over Ottawa. We're gonna go over to Edmonton.
Let's just leave the Canadian teams out and let their players sub in other teams.
Just give them all 56-0s, and they all get into the playoffs. That's
we'll take McDavid and.
Hey, I'd be on. If it means we get McDavid, I'm on board for it. Yeah, like honestly, that would be the most, the biggest argument for why you can't have those hub cities where you can't leave or you travel is the Canadian division. Like, there's no way Vancouver and Edmonton and Calgary are gonna travel constantly to a hub city in Toronto, and Toronto doesn't have to travel anywhere. Like, at some point there's really no fair place to put it where it's in between. Like, you can put it in Manitoba, but then Winnipeg has an advantage. You put it in Ontario, the Ontario teams have an advantage. You put it out west, and the west teams have an advantage where they don't have to travel as far. I don't know how they're gonna do this. Like, it's funny, we get a start date and an amount of games, but we get no news on how the season's gonna run and how they're gonna put this together and run it.
I bet you we find out before Christmas.
I would hope so.
We'll find out in the next 5-6 days. They're just gonna release it right for the holidays. What we're gonna do, and hope that it goes according to plan. I really feel that the players want to play. But I mean, if you're Tuukka Rask, are you even going to show up? You didn't like that there was no fans to begin with.
There's no fans. It's not hockey.
These aren't real games.
Didn't he not go because he was worried about COVID?
Yeah, there was family things going on too. But I mean, he made a mention about not being fans. It didn't feel like a real game.
Not being fans, it didn't feel like it. He was also getting shelled pretty hard. And then he's like, all right, well, I got more important things to do. It just doesn't feel like that. And they kind of came out that they had family things, but
he really did have more important things to do.
Yeah.
But the way he said it, people were like, let's murder
Yeah, I
him.
remember that.
Yeah.
Dave had a question and then a comment on how we could fix it. So his question originally was, which hub city do you think would be the hub city for the Pacific Division? So we can quickly mention that the realigned Pacific Division is Anaheim, Arizona, LA, San Jose, and Vegas, and then the 3 Canadian teams jump out for Colorado, Dallas, and St. Louis. If you were picking a hub city for that division, where would you put it in one of those cities?
I wouldn't put it in any of those cities. I feel like what they would probably end up doing is put it in a lesser known town, because it really doesn't necessarily. I mean, they may not do it, but this is what I would probably do, because then it's not like, oh, well, if we put it in Colorado kind of has an advantage that, hey, it's a home game. We don't have to go anywhere. We can just stay here, and we're one of the hub cities. But if you put it in just, an area, that's not a metropolitan area, and it's a rink that no one knows a whole lot about, maybe has, a few thousand seats in there or something like that, a college thing or whatever, then that's probably where it would make the most sense, or at least be as even as possible. But then I would try and put it somewhat central to where all the teams are. I wouldn't put it in California and make all the other teams try and come to meet us. Maybe a couple cities halfway between
I don't think
everything.
we can rule out travel yet. I think Exhibit A there is the NCAA in some areas has resumed, and they're traveling and they're playing. And now, obviously, some teams.
But they do multiple games a season, because the NHL shortens it up at 56 games, and they're starting in January, and they hope to end by April, March. It's like an 82-game season. We just missed the first third of it, and now we're just kind of doing the same thing. And some of those games are back-to-back in multiple cities.
So
I don't know how.
So this is what the
NCAA
NCAA does for their games, and I'm not 100%, might not be 100% accurate with this. I know when you look at their schedules, they play the same team twice. So when their sets of games are 2 matchups against the same team, 2 matchups against another team, 2 matchups against another team, and I believe they play both those games in that team's arena. And then when they come back to playing that team again, it's 2 games at their home arena. So it was a similar idea to what Dave brought up here. He said each team's arena is where you play, but you play a series of 3 to 5 games at a time. So you go there. Yeah,
like baseball.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like baseball. You would go there. Anaheim would travel to Arizona. They'd play a 3, 4, 5 game set against Arizona across a week's time. They spend that time in a bubble in Arizona, so just the hotel to the rink, and they play Arizona, 4 or 5 times in a row. I mean, it's not probably the best thing to watch because we got to watch them play the same team. But
I agree. I would disagree and say that it would be the best to watch because that's like mini
True.
playoff series.
Yeah.
They want to kill each other by game
Someone
4.
takes a cheap shot in game 1. You get ready for game 2, 3, 4, and 5.
I mean, there's clear, like I said, there's examples of traveling like this in a smaller capacity working in hockey already with the NCAA. And Pat, like you said, this would be exactly the same as MLB. This, for me, feels like the most realistic option for them is to do that because you can still keep the bubble aspect to it by keeping them at the hotel and just going to the rink, and you're only really in that city for a week. You still do get to spend time at home when another team comes and plays you at home. There's still a little bit of travel, but when you have these centralized divisions, and you're playing a team, 4 or 5 times in a row, you're kind of limiting the travel a little bit. I think honestly, this would be the best option. Nice background.
Thank you.
The background looks about as good as your technical skills, so it's fitting.
Oh, hold on. Let me see. I can make it better. As you were.
So, interestingly enough, Elliot Friedman, we talk about hub cities, he said Columbus, New Jersey, or Newark, Vegas, Edmonton/Toronto are the ones they're talking about. But he said that they're not permanent bubbles as we saw last summer.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's as of this morning at 7:44 in the morning.
Yeah, and I feel like at this point, like we hear new things every day. So I don't think they're anywhere close to.
But nothing has been finalized with NHL and NHLPA, and he also said the biggest challenge is making sure our players and supporting personnel are safe and healthy, making sure we're not doing anything that puts communities in which we're playing at risk, either in terms of spreading COVID or taking medical resources. So I'm telling you, that's got to be the holdup here. They need to figure out what they're doing with that before anyone agrees to anything. So interesting to see what they do. But what do you guys think with a shortened season that the Ducks even have a fighting chance in this newly aligned division?
The regular
comes
Pacific
around?
Division, maybe, with the Canadian team still in there.
Now with the teams we just added.
Oh, you don't think adding the top 3 from the Central is going to make it more interesting and a lot easier?
I think they'll win the Pacific. That or Vegas might be in there.
If you add Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver back in, I think the Ducks would have a shot at being maybe the second or third best team out of them in a shortened season with a fresher John Gibson. They have a chance. I'm not saying they're they're definite top 3. I think Vegas in the normal Pacific Division, Vegas would be number 1, and then I think Vancouver, Calgary, who am I missing? Edmonton are kind of a mix in there, and then I think Anaheim and Arizona could sneak into a spot. But the fact that you just added in St. Louis, Dallas, and Colorado, those are probably your top 3 in this division, and then Vegas is number 4. I don't see a way Anaheim breaks into that top 4.
Really? You put Vegas at 4 there? How do you align that division right there again, Ed? Name it if you had to run it down.
From number one to 7, or however many are in here. Number 1 to 8. I think Colorado's number 1. I think St. Louis, if Tarasenko comes back healthy, but I don't know if he is, would be number 2. So I'm going to go Colorado. Sagan's out too. Okay, Colorado, Vegas, St. Louis, Dallas, Arizona, Anaheim, San Jose, LA.
You put LA in the back.
Worse than every team in there.
Okay. San Jose's pretty bad. What does San Jose do for the
They brought in
goaltending?
Devin Dubnyk.
Oh, that's right. They brought in.
I mean,
Dubnyk.
he's an upgrade
That's
on
good.
Martin Jones, but not a big one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I would take him over Martin Jones any
Who do
day.
you think
The way
starts there? I think they keep Jones in
I
there
think they brought in
until he
Dubnyk to
falters.
start.
Over
I think it
Dubnyk?
depends on how training camp
Yeah.
goes and who looks better.
No way.
Oh no, it's not my choice. I would probably say Dubnyk. Dubnyk didn't have a real great season last season, but I think they're kind of bringing him in. He replaces Aaron Dell, and he's there, but I don't think they've given up on Martin Jones. I think they think he can still kind of rebound. That's my thought on it. To follow Ed's thing, Colorado, I'd go St. Louis, then Vegas, then Dallas. I could probably go Ducks on that 5th spot. then Arizona, then the Kings, and then then San Jose, because I think San
I
Jose.
have the exact same order except swap Arizona and Anaheim.
Yeah, I was stuck.
I think
on
that's
that
that
one.
top four is
I don't know.
set, right? I think a lot of it hinges on
However you juggle them, Colorado's at number one, but however
well,
you
yeah,
juggle the other
and how
three.
can Dallas handle no Sagan for presumably the entire schedule? How can yeah?
Was that his
So
knee?
he's gone for like 6 months,
Yeah.
which he still has about 4 months left, and Tarasenko's out presumably for that entire shortened season as well. I mean, St. Louis has more depth, and they can kind of handle losing Tarasenko more than the Stars can handle losing Sagan. But for me, Colorado runs away with this division. Vegas, I think they put up a fight, but McKinnon's going to walk all over the goaltenders in this division.
That team is so sexy, it's stupid. I don't want them in our division at all.
And to Pat's point about, do you think a shortened season might help the Ducks? I'm thinking it doesn't help anybody who didn't play in that playoffs, who didn't have that 2-month bubble, who got games in, who understand what it's like to play not only meaningful and playoff hockey, but to do it in front of nobody and just know what that feels like. So I don't feel like the Ducks get more rest or the Kings or the Sharks get more rest, and all of a sudden they're more energized to come in and go play. I feel like they're trying to fill things out, and it takes them even longer to kind of
Right,
catch
but it's like more or less, no, everyone's healthy. I felt like the Ducks had a lot of all the guys are dinged up.
meaningful games, man. I mean, you're still trying to catch up to that level, and especially since they haven't been able to necessarily train like they would in every off season or anything like that. I mean, I think that's a detriment to guys who haven't played since March. They'll have been 9 months out of the game. I mean, that's a little rough to just try and jump in and hey, get a good start, because otherwise you're going to get steamrolled, and all these other guys already kind of know what that's like to get back into it.
This season better start rolling, and they better come out to an agreement, because they're already getting my brain churning for like division reviews that we like to do, team breakdowns before the season starts. How I love all the beginning stuff of that.
The one thing we never do,
love that. If we get to this point and they don't,
we
do
never
it,
go
I'm just gonna
back
be
and
pissed.
look at our results. We need to do that.
Because they're never good.
They're never good.
We always remember like the obvious ones. Like there was the one year where I think I pegged Calgary for second in the Pacific, and they got second. And there was one year, I think, Pat, you picked Arizona to make the playoffs, and they made the playoffs. But like
Well, we don't have that many seasons. Like Forever Mighty started in March 2018.
I think this will be a third season, right?
Yeah. So we could go back and do it.
or we'll at least make the predictions this year, and in the shortened season, go back and see how they went. But this year will be the hardest.
We should just pay someone like $200 to go through all of our shows, or maybe more, because it's really annoying, and then find all the bad takes we've ever had, or find our hot takes, and then
there's
we can
too
go back
many.
and review them. And they can just shit on
Many.
each other.
And they're all probably wrong.
They're probably all wrong.
That's hot take of New Jersey being better.
Oh, then the Rangers?
The
Yeah,
Rangers.
that one did not go well.
We
I
don't
mean, the
talk
Rangers
about
weren't
that.
significantly better. The Devils just weren't good.
Like $200 for that.
And I never said they were going to win the division.
I think the funny thing in that season is the Rangers. The Rangers and the Devils both got the first and second overall pick, because the Rangers moved up in that year where we made that prediction. The Devils won the lottery and got Jack Hughes, and the Rangers moved up to 2 and got Capo Caco.
And I owed you a flight out to California, which you just can't take right now. Sorry.
my luck, eh?
COVID stole your ticket.
All right. Are we good on division? I think we covered most of it there. Any more?
Yeah,
right,
pretty
that's
much.
so-
Yeah, like Pat was saying before, we'll closer to the season we'll do a breakdown, either here or maybe Patreon, of all the divisions and our kind of predictions for the season and where we think they're going to kind of map out. And I think we always pick our early cup favorite too, which is looking more and more likely. It could be Tampa Bay again.
Bucks and Brews this Sunday too, so that's always a good time.
All right, so next is the first hockey we're going to see before the start of the NHL season is the World Juniors are starting on Christmas Day, not Boxing Day this year. They a day sooner. The Canada doesn't play till the 26th, but the U.S. opens on Christmas Day. And
What is Boxing Day again? Can you remind me? Is that where you guys like rebox up stuff you don't want?
No, it's where they punch maple trees until they get their syrup, and then they spread it around the world.
all could be true, but it is basically another Black Friday. It is just a sale day, and stores just take advantage of that, and people just go and like exchange gifts or whatever.
It's like Black Friday
It
after
is.
Christmas.
It really is. It's the best I can explain it. It's literally just a lot of sales in stores, and now they like just like Black Friday is now like a week, right? They have a week of sales. They now have Boxing Week, which runs from the 26th until basically the 30th or to the 31st for New Year's, and it's just sales, so stores can make money after Christmas.
Can you buy me stuff and send it here? I'm sure it's cheaper.
I mean, probably.
You buy me one of those Mountie hats.
I'd have to find a Mountie hat shop that has a Boxing Day sale.
Yeah, but only if it's on sale.
Brett's in Winnipeg, right? So he probably could find it. I know he's not.
Do you guys actually have actual Black Friday, like the day after Thanksgiving? You guys have that too?
It's not the day after Thanksgiving for us.
Just sucker for sales.
It's just Black Friday. Yeah, because
it's
Thanksgiving
Black Friday, so there's not
October.
Do you guys have Cyber Mondays?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Black Friday and Cyber Monday are a worldwide thing.
You guys are such posers.
I like how you think that like Canada's like left out of the online world where they don't get sales. Do you guys get Cyber Monday? Who allowed you?
It's just like they're posers at this point. It's just like, well, what's America doing? Oh, we should do that. Hey, we'll make another one too. It's all Boxing Day.
World Juniors start on Christmas Day. There will be 6 Ducks prospects at the World Juniors. 4 of them are for Team USA, which is the most of any team in the NHL on one team. So Trevor,
is it going to be televised anywhere?
I believe NHL Network is playing all the games. Dave said he no longer has NHL Network, but you can find streams online.
Dave, come over to my house so you can watch it. Or we'll go to Jay's
Team USA
house.
is looking stacked. Trevor Zegras, Henry Thrawn, Jackson Lacombe, and Sam Colangelo are the Ducks prospects that will be playing. Only returnee is Trevor Zegras, and he led the U.S. in scoring last year. And I'm sure you guys remember some of the plays he was pulling off in that tournament.
Well, he was the magic man during that
so
time.
Hopefully we see some more of that. He's likely going to play with his buddy and Kings prospect Alex Turcotte and other Kings prospect Arthur Kaliev, who he played with last year, and they were just unreal. So he'll be a big addition to that team, and then Thrawn and Lacombe will be playing on defense. I'd be surprised if Lacombe is one of the top 6 defensemen. He could be like a 7th defenseman, but Thrawn should play. And the interesting one for me is Sam Colangelo, the Ducks' second round pick in the last draft, in the 2020 draft. He reminds me a lot of Max Jones. He's a big kid. He's like 6'2", 215 already. So when you think of that going into a tournament against people your own age, his peers, he's going to be a lot bigger than most of those guys. So I normally don't watch Team USA games. I did last year because of Trevor Zegras, and now I guess I have more of a reason this year to watch these 4 guys. So not too bad.
Such a Canadian thing to say.
Speaking of Canada, Jamie Drysdale is on Team Canada.
Oh,
I'll be watching Team Canada. Hopefully follow up another gold medal. If you guys forgot, Team USA did not finish on the podium last year, so just in case you forgot. So. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. No, we did forget. I'm glad you brought that up.
I almost forgot too. They didn't win the Stanley Cup.
You and your U.S. and Canada teams.
I'm just saying. You let me know when Canada wins a cup.
Anyway, Albin Sundsvik was the 6th prospect for the Ducks. Plays for Team Sweden. Will likely be a bottom 6 forward for them. Timo Nickel, who the Ducks drafted in the 2020 draft as well, would have made Team Austria, but he was diagnosed with COVID. He just signed his ELC, I think, like 6 hours ago. He tweeted it out. The Ducks quote tweeted it. So he would have been the Ducks' 7th prospect at the tournament. But other than that, pretty much if you want to watch the top Ducks prospects play, watch Team USA, which I think most of you listening will be watching Team USA anyway. And if you want to check out Jamie Drysdale, then you can watch Team Canada too. So.
Yeah.
If I have time on my very busy Christmas schedule, I might have time to watch.
Yeah, I have a lot of Boxing Day things to do that first game they have.
Anyway, I'm off the rails here.
Ed hates us.
The tournament runs December 25th to January 5th. There's 5 teams in each pool. There is the first pool. Canada lucked out. They got the easy pool. They have Finland, Switzerland, Slovakia, and Germany. So that should be an easy run for them. The U.S. got a bit of a harder group, but they should still go through. They have Russia, Sweden, the Czech Republic, and Austria. Austria probably loses that, or the Czech Republic. And the opening game on Christmas Day is Russia versus Team USA. Not a bad game for opening day. And we won't see a Canada-US game unless it's in a knockout round situation this year. So that they're not in the same group. They're not in the same
dumb.
group.
What's the point of having this World Juniors tournament then? That's all
Yeah,
anyone wants to
pretty much.
watch.
So that they might eventually meet at the
At the
pinnacle.
gold medal game, they could.
Well, they would be able to anyway, but they didn't put them in the
Well,
same
they
group.
can't. That means they can't meet in the round robin, but they will, if they go far enough, they will meet at some point in the quarterfinal, semifinal, or final. But we'll see. I honestly think that the two best teams of this tournament are Canada and the U.S. So presumably a gold medal matchup.
How would you rank those, Ed, if you had to put Canada
1 to 2.
and USA in order? Yeah, between 1 and 2. Is it a roll of the dice?
It's close, but you're gonna call me a homer because I think Canada's a better team, but 22.
Who has better goaltending?
Probably the U.S. They got Spencer Knight is
that's over then. We win, and we have Trevor Zegras.
It'll be close.
Fine.
It will be close. I mean, Canada has 22 of their 25 players are first-round picks, and
This would be the best if Zegras does a Michigan and everyone calls it the lacrosse, but it was to win it against Canada.
I'll be upset for a little bit, but I'll be happy that he scored a winner. So that's okay.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. This year, if Team USA wins, I won't be as upset because there's 4 Ducks prospects on there, so it's not as bad.
There's an easy cop out.
It's all right.
The World Juniors is like seriously, it's like college football to Americans. Like they get so riled up, so riled up for World Juniors.
It's
What's this anything
it
world?
is the hockey spectacle of the year here. It's the biggest hockey event of the year. Bigger than.
Would it be bigger than, I don't know, Toronto winning a Stanley Cup?
I think across Canada, yes. I think it's the World Juniors is bigger. I mean, if you ask Toronto fans, then no. And if you ask most people in Ontario, they would probably say no. But across Canada, the World Juniors is the biggest hockey event of the year. You know, everybody watches it. Even if you're a casual hockey fan, you watch
good hockey,
Canada play.
Well, I guess it's good hockey, and it's not pros. So you're just seeing kids who just want to play for the fun of it. But at the same time, they're also playing to get drafted or to get money.
Some of these guys, I
eventually.
mean, most of these guys
Right.
are already drafted at this point, but I think a lot of them are just. Could be the only time they get to play for their country, right? Like, with no Olympic hockey guaranteed anymore, this is it. Like, this is the stage where you can play for your country now, unless you play for the World Championships. But I would argue this means more than the World Championships. Like, you would rather be playing playoff hockey than playing the World Championships because of the time of the year they take place. Unless the World Cup of Hockey returns,
Of course.
which it's great and all, but I don't think it has the tradition yet to be like the Olympics or the World Juniors, where it means a lot.
The World Championships are trash. This is my personal opinion.
Yeah, no, I don't like it either.
I don't like.
I never tune in. It's if it's on NHL or whatever, every show the games, I don't want to see it.
You tune in because it's in the summer. You got nothing.
playoff
better to
hockey
do at
is
that
on.
point.
Well, it's like when
That's
the
the
playoffs are
problem.
going on. Yeah, playoffs are on. So like I could give a shit. If it was the World Cup of hockey,
That's what I was thinking. Sorry,
I would totally watch that. Those are
I
great
just think the
games.
World Cup doesn't have the
That was when they had
tradition
Team
yet.
North
That's
America.
the problem. Like it's new. It's fun. It's fun to watch. It's great hockey, but like I don't feel like it has the same meaning for the players as the World Juniors or the Olympics would.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right. Anyway, I know your answer already to this. If you had to pick a winner for the World Juniors,
USA.
yeah, it's Team USA. Yeah,
So,
Austria.
Okay. Austria, going off the board.
is Kazakhstan
No, they
still in it?
got relegated last year. They got relegated last year. They're out. I was hoping they'd be back in it too, because it's honestly the weirdest country that seems to somehow always make it out of that. So if you're not familiar with the World Junior structure, this World Junior tournament is basically the Division A, and then at the same time every year there's a Division B, which is like teams like Japan, Kazakhstan when they're down there, Austria, I think Norway, Denmark, like a bunch of
Let's go on Slovenia that
Yeah, I think they're
Kopitar's from.
probably in there as well. And they play like a similar tournament. It's a World Junior tournament, and the winner gets promoted to the World Juniors, where the loser of the Division A World Juniors gets demoted to Division B. So Kazakhstan got demoted, and Austria got promoted last year, so they're in it.
Huh.
The more
you know.
All right. Couple things left for the show here. One thing, if you were listening to our Patreon show a couple weeks ago, we didn't get to, but we wanted to save it for this show, was NHL Tonight sort of put out a breakout players list. You can only really find 4 of them.
Have they updated it?
No.
From when they did it a week
You
ago?
can
or
find
2 weeks
4
ago?
of their breakout players. Sam Steele is number 10 on that list. Apparently it was just a TV spot. They didn't put out an article or anything after, so I have no idea who the other 6 players are on that list, including number 1, 2, and 3. But we'll talk about Sam Steele. Realistically, do you think Sam Steele is the number 10 breakout player for 2021? If you had to think of every potential breakout player for this upcoming season. I don't even think he would be number 1 or number 2 or number 3 for me on the Ducks, let alone the number 10 in the league.
I think no, I can't say 10 in the league. I'd be hard pressed to put him number 1 on the Ducks. I think he might have the most potential just because he's got the ability to have a breakout season, or at least we hope he does, and he's probably going to be sheltered in that 3rd center spot. So I think he might have that opportunity. Who he plays with might be a big factor. But then once again, it depends how quickly the Ducks start, and I don't think they're going to exactly just come running out of the gates, being 9 months off and a little rusty in second-year coaching. I mean, he's got the potential, but I don't see it. I mean, it's a nice nod. At least they acknowledge the Ducks in
If you
some
haven't
way.
seen that video, is it Pierre Maguire who's in that video? Right, I think.
I thought it was Darren
yeah,
Pang.
Darren
Pang.
Yeah, he
Panger.
has no idea who Sam Steele is in that video. Like he struggles hard. Find it on NHL.com. Just look up Sam Steele. It'll be like the most recent video about Sam Steele, and he has about a minute and a half to describe Sam Steele, and it is a struggle for him to I don't think it was his list, and he's trying to describe why Sam Steele could be the number 10 breakout player, and he was not prepared to handle that.
It's almost like he's like looking at his notes, looking at the screen. He's like, he shoots well backhand.
Yeah, he just has no clue. It's very strange.
That's for sure. And he should. Yeah, that team probably needs him to really break out, so he will.
I want to get your thoughts on.
He's battling for pucks and making plays a lot of the times. He has a much better 2-way game. Something like he said something along those lines, like
Which
pucks in deep, shots on net.
maybe not grounds for a breakout.
He's a really
If
good
you had to
double
pick
chase.
your breakout player from the Ducks this year, who would it be?
Cam Fowler.
Really?
No.
So come on, man. Like,
You can hear utter disappointment in that Canadian's voice.
jeez.
Really?
For me, it's Max Jones. I think he's finally going to put it together this season.
God, I hope so. Him or Troy Terry, man. One of the two got to start stepping up here because they're running out of time here. I mean, you give them their ELCs. You get 3 years. Show me what you got. If by the 3rd year you haven't started to make progress, whether you're snake bitten or not, it can't last for 3 years. So at some point it's got to happen. I think they're both kind of on that same page. So either have a breakout year or we're going to start looking to move you because you still somewhat have value in the league's
I think
eyes.
that's what we're going to see this year is there's a lot of players trying to break into that lineup. And, the guys who kind of get left behind, I think, are potentially guys who get moved out this year. Whether that's Terry or Jones. I don't think Steele's among those players who would be, out to get moved. But when you look at the wingers, there's an abundance of them, especially with Milano and Heinen both coming back.
Well, and they had it projected on the top line with Getzlaf on NHL Tonight for that video. When I was like,
Sam Steele? They
really
did?
interesting. No, Heinen, Getzlaf, and Milano
Yeah,
all together.
I think
Very
because
interesting.
the last game they played, it was Milano, Getzlaf, and Heinen together. So they're just like, okay, that's going to work again, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
At the end, see what
For
works.
me, I think it's Maxime Comtois. He's a year younger than these guys, and he's kind of at that point where the next step for him is a full NHL season, or in the shortened season this year, at least 40, 45 games, you would hope. He's got a tough spot to crack the roster, but I think, a logical next step for him is to have a breakout year. Put up 15, 20 goals in a very good year, 30, 40 points. I think, if he puts up that's better production than Jones, Terry, and Steele have put up over their last couple seasons, right? So I think,
Especially if he does.
yeah,
56
well,
games.
yeah. I mean across an 82 game schedule, but yeah, that's gonna get me every time. All my predictions are gonna in my head are gonna be based off an 82 game schedule, and then I'm gonna make some really bad takes based off that. But no, I think Maxime Comtois has all the tools to kind of break out this year for the Ducks. I really think if he gets a roster spot this year, which is going to be tough, it depends on where he plays, but I think he's due. And it's it kind of speaks volumes here that our three guys that we picked aren't Sam Steele. We picked Jones, Terry, Comtois. So a little odd there. NHL Tonight has him.
I don't really like Troy Terry a lot, to be honest with you. Not a huge fan.
The analytics people love him.
That's
that's a
of course. You would think that I would love him too, then, because I like analytics and all. It's just he's just not a producer at this level. We haven't seen it, so for him to be the breakout guy, I guess he kind of freaking has to be, in my opinion. He's really got to be that guy. Has to be that guy.
I mean the.
Yeah, like I said, him and Max Jones for me, it's like, all right, put up or shut up. Because at this point, we've given you the 2 years. I'll give you a little shaky start here, but you go 3 years, those are 3 years, and now there's a kind of, I won't say they're the prime years, but they're an indication of what your prime years should be. So I mean, if they're not hitting it, then
there has to be some development that we can see, right? Like there has to be a logical next step.
You have to progress. There's got to be some trajectory up.
I still vote to take this team and get prospects elsewhere. I still vote to move all the veterans out. We've
been saying for a while Adam Henrique and Jakob Silfverberg probably should have been moved a while ago.
Even Ricard Raquel would fetch a pretty penny.
I don't necessarily disagree. I think the value on him is higher now, even with the 2 bad seasons under his belt because of his contract and the fact he's got a little bit of term left. I think you look to move Silfverberg and Henrique before him, but if you get a good offer for him, I think that's when you look to move him.
It's tough to move Adam out, man. Henrique's got a boatload attached to his name right now. That's going to be tough.
Want to move Silfverberg out? The dude seems to lead us in goals the last 2 seasons. He's actually a good 2-way winger.
It just depends on the deal.
He should have got traded before they re-signed him. That was my point. He was having a career year. Yeah. You could have got a first-round pick, and
there goes.
But you can't keep him forever because you're not good enough right now. Is he going to be the same player at 33, 34?
I mean, if you guys are in full-on dumpster fire mode, then you sell everyone that's over 23 because we're not going to be competitive for the next 4 years. So why do I want to?
I mean, the Kings did that. Jesus. They went full dumpster fire mode. Essentially, you just really can't.
And we all rank them dead last in this league.
But they have the best prospect pool in the entire NHL.
Yeah, they're set
you can't move Kopitar and Doughty just because of their contracts, so that's understandable. But they literally moved every other piece they could possibly move other than those guys, and I guess Jonathan Quick.
Well, someone will have to get caught at the border with drugs.
Oh, I wonder how that'll happen.
It's always interesting
Mike
with the
Richards
Kings.
will return.
Are we at my favorite part of the show now? Before we wrap?
I added this in because I know Pat hates these jerseys, and Jimmy will also love this section as well. The Ducks reverse retro jerseys were the 3rd highest selling reverse retro jerseys in the league. I don't know if you guys have seen the doc yet. You probably have. So I was going to ask you to guess what the other top 5 are, but you've probably seen it already. Okay. Well, number 1 is the Caps. Number 2 is the Rangers, which is surprising because we shit on the Rangers jerseys in our Patreon show. Ducks were 3, Avs were 4, and Coyotes were 5.
Avs is
It's not
another head
surprising
scratcher,
because I
man.
think a lot of people in Quebec bought that jersey.
Ugh.
And there's Avs fans everywhere.
I mean, that's vomit-inducing. That fucking jersey is so bad, man. That is such a bad jersey.
Out of those top 5, Pat, I mean, do you think any of them are good?
Oh, the Ducks one, of course, is my favorite.
Yeah, I know. I'm
No,
just
the
saying.
Coyotes
'cause
was your
you-
favorite
No,
jersey
honestly,
from our ranking.
My favorite out of those is the Coyotes.
I'm not surprised that's on there.
I mean, I want to say I picked the Kachina jersey my
Yeah,
favorite out of all of them.
You
I
and
think
me
when we did the
both
show.
picked the Coyotes jersey as number 1.
Yeah, that Kachina jersey is sick. I love that one. The Caps one wasn't so bad. The other ones, I'm just like, oof. Oof. The Caps had a bunch of red. I think they have the C in that weird spots on the other shoulder, right? Yeah, that's the other one. It wasn't too bad. We didn't hate it. At least I didn't hate it. But the Rangers one was garbage. The Avs one was garbage, and the Ducks one is too many people in California. I think, as Jimmy told me, are bored and have money.
Well, I think you have to.
I like that.
I think you have to look at it this way. The Ducks jersey has appeal outside of the Ducks fan base, so I'm not surprised it's on there.
Yeah,
same with the Coyotes,
for sure.
A bit with the Avs. The Rangers have the biggest fan base probably in the entire NHL, or one of the biggest fan bases.
Maybe
Yes.
the U.S.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah, not Canada.
Well,
you
I don't see
insane.
Toronto or Montreal on here.
Well, because their jerseys didn't
Yeah.
change much.
And
But
Canada's
the Rangers
poor.
didn't
Can't
change
buy
much
jerseys.
either. That's what That's what I'm saying. So,
Well, the thing is, they probably all got it. They probably all got it with I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Lafreniere. They probably got his name on the back.
true.
Yeah.
I'm thinking what's going to happen is Toronto and Montreal will become the most popular or most bought one on Boxing Day when everything is on sale.
Oh, the toilet seat's going to go to number 1, huh? That jersey's such a
How is
Straight
the
to the
Caps
top
number 1?
from the
though?
bottom.
Like the Caps have a big fan base, but it's not like a full nod to the retro version.
It's just really
I've never
red
seen
and I don't like
anybody
it.
really say it was the best jersey of the bunch, but somehow it sold the most.
I think it's cartoony. Like I mean, think about it. Like the Caps one, that's kind of a cartoon type eagle coming across. The Ducks one is a cartoon guy coming out of the ice. The Cochino one is kind of cartoony-ish in a way. So I mean, that's 3 of the top 5 right there. I don't know if like they just kind of want to.
I think they were the most different. I think people liked them for that reason. I would say the Kings one should have been number 1 on here. Honestly, it's or number 2 behind the Kachinas. I mean, I even said on the show when we did that on page, I thought damn close between those two.
Yeah,
But
they were good. I don't get me wrong. I like the Wild Wing logo. I like that original one. I hate that it's all white or like mostly white. Any of the ones that are mostly white, there's nothing there. It's just like, okay, yeah, it's like an outline of whatever you're trying to show me, and it's I don't know. It's just if there's no color there, then it just seems.
I'm
blank.
glad they didn't go orange, but him busting out of the eye just man. Oof.
I like the original one. The original one I can get behind, but almost in a comical way. Just kind of like, that's nice. They tried.
Oh, dude, that's so bad. And I know I'm going to get torn up by people in chat, I'm sure, who like that jersey. I'm going to hear it on Twitter if I make a comment like I did last time. But I just can't get behind that jersey whatsoever. Eddy, I still think you and Steve bought them all. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I want to show this concept that Dave just sent us. I don't think it's going to work, though, because I have it on my phone. I'm showing it. You guys can't see it, but I'm showing it to the camera. Dave,
No, we can't. So
Dave said
thanks
he
for
sent
thinking
it to
about
you,
us.
so it's
Here it
okay.
is. I found it.
It's the Anaheim word mark on a purple jersey with teal on it. I think it looks good, honestly. It's not really a reverse retro. If a reverse jersey of another jersey, I think it'd be a great third jersey to go with that and have this concept.
I love that logo. People hate it. Like, I like that jersey. It reminds me of Ruslan Saleh. But I don't know if I can get behind that
It's
with
a black jersey, right? Mostly black.
Yeah, it's mostly black. Yeah.
Yeah,
The original.
yeah, it's black with purple.
I don't know. I like that original logo. Maybe take that original logo and make the duck look the other way. I don't know.
Maybe take
You want to be like, why not?
All right. Well, we're coming up on an hour. I think that's it. We covered all the topics that we had. Not a ton of news really right now. I mean, enough to at least get through a show. But hopefully the season does start January 13th, because this will be one of the last pods. I mean, I guess the next one presumably would be after Christmas and would be a season preview, hopefully, and then we might be back into post-game shows.
Yeah, that'd be exciting. But for those who are wondering about our Patreon shows, we mentioned midway through this one, Pucks and Brews this Sunday for our Patreon fans. Grab a drink. We're going to talk Ducks hockey, NHL news, all that, plus whatever comes up, as Jason always has something fun to make fun of Eddy about. So get into that too, I'm sure. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Well, it's good to be back, and then we get a long break. So
yeah,
at least we made it.
And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody. If you're not tuned into Patreon and we don't see you before the Christmas break,
And we should do it on Boxing Day.
God. Okay, I'm going to end it there.
All right.